Welcome back, everybody. Sport Federation TV. Nice to have you along. We again talk sport. Of course, for those of you that have been watching the show, you will know that sailing is one of the big sports in South Africa. International structure, national structure, provincial structure, district structure, and of course down to various clubs in the province. One of the clubs, of course, that's very active with sailing is DStv. And joining me on the show now to tell me a little bit more about a regatta that's coming up this weekend at DStv is Mary-Ann Sherwood. Mary-Ann, welcome to Sport Federation TV.
Thank you very much.
All right, so let's start at the beginning. You're a sailor yourself.
I am, and sailing is one of those sports that you can do for life, which is great.
How long have you been doing?
About 45 years.
Wow, okay. You got your own boat?
Yes, I do. I have a 23-foot keel boat called a Stud 23, which is a one design boat, and that's the boat that we'll be sailing our regatta this weekend.
So I'm just going to ask, for a second there, I was wondering, did I say the right word? Because you guys have got boats, you've got yachts, you've got keel boats, and all these different, what is the right terminology?
So we are particularly involved with sailboats, so they all have sails, but different sizes. So you have the dinghies, which typically can sail one or two people on, and then you have Hobies, which have got two hulls, but they also have one or two people on. The keel boats are starting to get the bigger ones with a fixed keel on the bottom, and the one that I have, we sail 4 crew on the boat, then right up to the ones that cross oceans.
Okay, so they're not yachts. So the yachts
well, they are yachts.
Are they yachts?
Yeah, yachts, sailboats.
We always picture the yachts for the millionaires parked in Monaco, so you've got a keelboat event this weekend, regatta. You say you sail with a crew of 4.
Yes.
How do you establish that crew? How does that come around?
So you try and get a regular crew to come and sail a boat with you, because then they get to know the boat, they get to know the commands that you're giving and what they are expected to be doing. This weekend I have my daughter sailing. I have one male crew on board, and he sailed with me quite a few times. And then I have one of the novices from the training last weekend that's going to be sailing with me, so giving her a chance to learn the ropes.
The event this weekend is the women's regatta.
Yes.
How does that work? Does it mean it's women boat owners, or women are the captain, or how do you?
So the rules are that you have to have a woman driving the boat, steering the boat, helming the boat.
Yes.
All different words for the same thing. And then you have to have at least one other woman on board. So 2 of the 4 crew must be women. There's a prize, a trophy for an all-woman crew, and there's another trophy for all the people who have got males on board. Right,
so it's a mixed gender scenario in some cases. The event itself, so does it start early in the morning? I mean, how does it work? Do you guys compete right through the weekend? Is it just one day?
It's Saturday and Sunday. We will run multiple races, probably up to 10 races over those days. So typically probably 4 races tomorrow and 4 races on Sunday.
4 races in one day?
Yeah.
Okay, how long is a race? How does it...
A race is typically 50 minutes to an hour long. And we have buoys set up that we then have to start and then go around those buoys a couple of times.
How do you win a race? What is it that makes the difference between the first and second place, or first and 10th place?
The nice thing about the Stud 23 boats is that they're all exactly the same. So it's not the boat that's winning, it's the crew that's winning. So the crew that can coordinate things best, the crew that choose the correct course to sail. If you're going up into the wind, you can't sail directly into the wind, you have to sail at 45 degrees. And so choosing where there's more wind on the course, and setting your sails properly and steering properly and doing maneuvers properly, like hoisting a spinnaker, dropping the spinnaker. That's the big balloon sail on the front, which you use when you go downwind.
Is there someone that checks that all the boats are the same?
There are rules in the class, and you have to declare that your boat is the same, and there can, at big regattas, there can be inspections to check that everything is correct.
Now you mentioned to me steering the course. This sounds like an interesting program, and it's specifically focused on developing women sailors.
Yeah. So World Sailing have had a project over the last 2 months called Steering the Course, where they've been encouraging women to get involved in sailing. So South African Sailing has taken up that project as well, and there've been a number of events at clubs around the country where we've had an introduction day of sailing for women. So last weekend we had there must have been about 20 women split between Hobies and the Stat 23 up at Chiavadas, learning to sail. They've never sailed before.
So how do they get started? I mean, you don't just arrive at a yacht club with your own boat. But of course, Sailing South Africa's promoting this, and women are saying, well, I'd like to get started.
Yeah.
How do you start?
So we had organised, people who have boats had organised to use their boats.
Right.
And we just said, come along, arrive on the day, and
you do then take them with
then
as
we
part
take
of the
them
crew?
out, and then we give, well, we did some theoretical training first, and then took them out on the boats with coaches on the boats, yeah.
When you talk about theoretical training, what are the kind of elements that a beginner, a novice would have to do in terms of starting up?
So you get on a boat, you learn, so there's a lot of sailing terms that we use in everyday life, learning the ropes.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a lot of boats, there's a lot of ropes on a boat, and everyone has got a different name and a different function.
Yeah.
So learning if you pull that rope, what's it going to do to the sails? Is it going to pull the sail up? Is it going to pull the sail in tight? Is it going to let it out? There's various other controls that ropes handle.
Yeah.
So learning what things you can do on a boat to change things. Then also learning how to sail. You know, if the wind's directly in front of you and you try and go directly into the wind, you're not going to go anywhere.
Right.
You have to learn. You know, so you start typically 45 degrees to the wind, and then you have to tack and tack and tack and zigzag up into the wind. Then when you turn around and there your sails are tight. When you turn around to come downwind, you let your sails out so that the winds from behind you, the sails are picking up the wind. So it's all that theory as to where you can go when you're sailing. You know, pull the sails in when you're going upwind, let the sails out when you're going downwind. That's the kind of theory that you learn about sailing, how to sail.
I would imagine for first timers it might be a little bit nerve-wracking. You're getting on a boat, you're in the middle of the water. It must be a little bit intimidating. Do you guys deal with that from a safety perspective, get comfortable, etc.?
Yeah, there's always safety issues involved. You know, that stick that waggles around in the middle of the boat can hit you hard on the head. So you do need to, you know, when you first start sailing, you wear life jackets so that if you get knocked overboard and you're unconscious, you're still floating. So there are, you know, it's like scuba diving. They always teach you all the things that can go wrong, and hopefully that you'll then be aware of what can go wrong and take action to avoid that.
The competition is this week in Chiavadas Women's Regatta. What comes next? Competitors who win here, do they go to a national championships or a provincial championships? Or
in sailing, most championships anybody can enter. So you don't have to qualify to go to a nationals or a provincials. This regatta, there's no further step. This is a standalone regatta.
Yeah.
But we'll be having provincial championships at Chiavadas Kloof over between Christmas and New Year.
Right.
And next year we'll be hosting the national championships at the end of April, beginning of May.
So it's you guys heading into the busy season?
Yes, definitely.
Is that considered your busy season?
So typically we take our boats, we moor our boats on the dam, and we take them out over winter because the winter storms come and wreak havoc, and you can break their mooring and land on the beach and whatnot. So we take them out of the water over winter. So now they're just going back in, and they'll be there until May next year.
Mary-Ann, thanks for joining us on Sport Federation TV. It's fascinating. We can't wait to hear more, and looking forward to seeing what the results are and more women sailing.
Great. It's going to be very competitive this weekend. We've got provincial, we've got an Olympic sailor sailing. We've got a team that went to compete in New York Ladies Regatta last month, and it's going to be tough.
There we go. Right, folks, Mary-Ann Sherwood, she's of course sailing this coming weekend in the women's regatta at Theewaterskloof. If you're in the area, go and watch. But otherwise, we'll of course try and keep you updated on the results, maybe bring you some pictures and videos if we get them. Folks, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll carry on talking sport in the province. Don't go away. Back in a sec.